So today we want to look at the chi-square test of homogeneity. And this test is used when we want to be able to detect if a certain characteristics across different populations within a sample, if they would be statistically significantly different or if they are basically the same at the population level. So if we're looking at our data set here that was used in our chi-square test of independence video. So for example, we had the outcome of passing or failing being dependent on gender, and it showed that girls had higher pass rates than boys, or females had higher pass rates than males. In our test of independence, it did show that the outcome was dependent on the type of delivery, and where we saw the blended delivery having the higher pass rates. So for example, someone wants to say now that probably blended had more females than the other groups. And you could actually do the chi-square test of homogeneity to test if any differences that you see in the percentages of females in each delivery method, if at the population level, if it would be significantly different or if it would be estimated to be around the same. So we could do a chi-square test of homogeneity. But how do we do that, and what should we bear in mind? The chi-square test of homogeneity, its requirements are the same as a chi-square test. However, it's how we interpret the outputs or how we interpret the p-value. Because the null hypothesis in the test of homogeneity is that the different populations have the same proportion of some characteristics. So in our example, it would say that all delivery methods had the same proportion of female students. So that is our null hypothesis that we would be tested in our data set. So here, we'll go to Analyze, Descriptives, Crosstabs. And what we want to do, let's put sex in the rows, and then we want to find out if the distribution of female students was the same amongst the different delivery methods. So you're going to select delivery methods and we'll put that in our column. Right, so let's say if you look at format, we don't have to change anything there. We could click continue. Statistics, ensure that chi-square is checked. And then you go to continue. And here for our cells, you ensure, as I say, you'd see all these things, the count, the row, percent, column, percent, total. And you could ensure that for expected is checked as well to ensure that you have that each cell in the table has a frequency count of at least 5 to ensure that the results are trustworthy. And you click continue, and then we click OK. And here's our output. And when we look at our output, if you look at females, and you have to look now, because females in a row, you have to consider the row percentage. So here we saw we're face-to-face at 32.1%, online at 34.3%, and blended at 33.6%. All of them are different at the sample level, but at the population level, would it be significantly different? That is what we're testing. So we get here now a p-value of 0.908, which is far, far, far larger than the alpha of 0.05. So that tells us that we failed to reject the null hypothesis that states that the distribution of females is the same amongst the different delivery methods. And that is how you perform and interpret the chi-square test of homogeneity using PSPP.